Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. I want to thank all the listeners to the radio show. I was invited here today because of that, and as I say, I'm the accidental radio guy. I'm not a politico. I didn't start out to do this. But I think, like a lot of you, I'm here today because I do love America, and that we are Americans. Today I'm here as a person, as an individual, and most importantly, as an American. I'd like to thank the organizers and the volunteers who've made today's event possible. My mom is here, along with my wife and daughter, and I want to thank them for their support. I want to thank the Finger Lakes Radio Group for airing the Credibility Report on Saturday mornings. I'm here today as a result of that show and because of listeners and callers who encourage me to keep it up. And I want to say thanks. So here we go. The shirt I'm wearing today belonged to my dad. He was an American, and he was a Marine Corps aviator. He flew 150 missions in World War II and Korea. He earned 16 air medals. To me, he represents the greatest generation. The Tea Party movement is very clear on our purpose. We will fix America. My America, your America, the United States of America. The problem as I see it is that we are no longer united. But first, let's look back before we look ahead. Where are we? How do we get here? The greatest generation and their predecessors made America the greatest country in the world. As they aged, they entrusted her to us. When I refer to the greatest generation, let me remind us, there have been many generations of Americans, but one generation stands out. They won World War II. They drew a line in the sand in Korea that is still honored today. They used the GI Bill to build towns and villages. They built schools. They educated their kids. They taught us values. They paid their way. They founded Americana. They grew Kodak and Xerox and General Motors and Ford and Chrysler. They built America and they bought American. When I was a kid, if you got a Christmas toy, it said made in Japan, it's only one step better than a lump of coal. They did all this without the help of the ACLU, without the help of environmentalists and regulators of everything. They caused pollution and smog, but they forged ahead to make us great. They did well. We owe them a debt of gratitude. And I see in the audience today some members of that generation. And y'all ought to be proud. Then it was our turn, my generation, the baby boomers. We burned our draft cards. We burned our bras. We protested the war in Vietnam. We wanted freedom, which in our youthful exuberance, we confused with liberalism. We had freedom. We had free sex. We had rock and roll, smoking pot. Gas was 20 cents a gallon. The drinking age was 18. We had it all. But we knew that we were smarter than our parents. We're going to show them a thing or two. And so we did. We embarrassed ourselves in Vietnam. And I want to say, when I say we embarrassed ourselves in Vietnam, we didn't finish the job. But the guys and gals that went there did their best, and they should be respected. We produced 90% of the world's lawyers. Most of them became politicians. We allowed the ACLU to un-Americanize America. We allowed the government to pass laws to protect us from things that we didn't know we needed to be protected from. The previous generation built a strong foundation, and they strengthened an already strong America. We built a house of cards. Our parents saved their money and paid cash for most things. A second mortgage was unheard of. One car was enough. We wanted it all, now, and to get it, we turned to debt. 2 car payments, 2 mortgages, 10 credit cards, student loans instead of saving for our kids' education. It's okay. This can never end, can it? It did. And here we are today. Debt and taxes brought to us by us. So now, it's time to pay the piper. We've allowed our government to operate like an Enron, only on a much larger scale. We paid into the Social Security Trust Fund for years, and it's empty. How could that be? How could Social Security have $30 trillion of unfunded benefits? Medicare will be broke in a few years. How could this be? Amtrak, the post office, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all broke. Trillions of dollars in debt. 12 million last count, trillion. Add in Social Security. Medicare in the next 10 years of $1 trillion deficits. We're on the hook for about $72 trillion. Give or take $1 trillion or 2. Folks, the house of cards that we've allowed our government to build is about to collapse. Ironically, our government chose to solve the credit crisis that we consumers brought onto ourselves by borrowing more money on our behalf. Could someone explain to me how putting someone further in debt helps to solve their debt problem? We need to take control, and we need to do it now. We all know the problems, and they are many. Complaining does no good. Blaming the other party or the other guy or anyone else is a sign of weakness. We need leaders who represent us and who are willing to solve our problems. Not misleaders who represent the special interests. Not misleaders who get elected and then suffer post-election amnesia. Not misleaders who take money from anyone and who will do anything to get reelected. Leaders who understand the problems. Leaders who work for us. Any candidate that is in office or running for office must be held accountable for our money. Spending at the state and federal levels must be limited only to the bare essentials. Social programs must be cut to the minimum, cut to the bone. Illegals must not be allowed to collect 1 cent of benefit money from our government for any reason, other than a one-way plane ticket home.